Okay, here's today's observation on the damage of feminism, and it's to do with dogs. Has anyone else noticed that there is I don't know what you'd call it, a plague of dogs? I like dogs, I like cats, I like animals, but there seems to me to be this obsession nowadays with dogs, and I don't know where it's coming from, but I've got an idea where some of it's coming from, at least. Have you noticed how a lot of people are getting these tiny little dogs, which are these cutesy wootsy little yippy things, right? And I think that people, generally women, are getting these dogs as a replacement or in place of having children. Now, you can call me nuts, I don't care. This is what I think's going on. I think subtly women are being discouraged in our culture from having kids. The idea of overpopulation and all this environmentalism, it goes right to the heart of the female psyche, whereby they're all like, oh, we must do the right thing, oh, yeah. Men really generally couldn't give a monkey's, right? We're responsible, but we're not knee-jerk. We're not like, oh, we have to do this because it seems right. We'll think about it and be like, okay, this might seem right, but it might seem wrong. That's if we're intelligent, okay? I'm not saying every guy thinks like that, but generally speaking, I think that women are more impressionable when it comes to social rights, okay? As in right as in the right thing to do, okay? So I think that generally, I see this a lot nowadays, and I see couples getting dogs. Instead of having a child, they'll get a dog. Don't tell me you don't see it too, okay? These little dogs, and the women are like, oh, the little cutie, pretending it's a baby, in lieu of actually having children. It's not in every case. Some people get a dog because they want a dog, alright? So be it. That's always been the case. But I've noticed this, and I think it's stupid. Now, I'm not going to say that everyone who's got a little dog is stupid, because they're not. Not at all. What I'm saying is that if you notice a general trend, you can observe, where it's coming from, and you can make your own judgment on it. And I think it's stupid. I think it's a reaction that people, good-hearted, good-willed people, are making. And I think that because nowadays people are choosing, I think, less and less to have kids, especially in our culture, which I think is a mistake, by the way, we're having this situation where women are deprived of what they really, really instinctively want, which is cute little kids around them to gush over, okay? Don't tell me that women don't gush over kids. Just don't tell me that they don't. They do, okay? So when they got these cute little dogs with big eyes, who are sort of bleating and squeaking at them, they go nuts. Even yesterday I saw this happen. Two women were talking over a dog and they were, oh, he's such a little baby. He's such a little baby. They actually used the words baby, yeah, to talk about a dog. It's disgusting. Our society is being ruined by these stupid directives which are kind of subtly, but not so subtly, rammed down the throats of the population and using feminism, I would say, as a guise. Okay, at the moment our society is in a disastrous state, okay? You get any normal, masculine, ordinary men together, right, alone, for any period of time, and they'll open up about it and say it's a total load of rubbish, okay? It's absolute nonsense, what we're seeing every day. But, generally speaking, we feel like we have to button it. We can't talk about this in public. I tend to, but some people don't. But if you get a couple of fellas alone and start talking to them, they all come out about it, alright? It's the truth. Men are disgusted by our own society. I know, I talk to them all the time, I am one, okay? Women, I have to say, are ambivalent. And that's a bit of a problem, and that's why feminism is being used, because women are ambivalent, generally. They're not really that hard line on stuff, because that's not their nature. Women are, not always, but generally more amenable. They'll make peace, because it serves them, genetically and biologically, it serves women to be peacemakers, shall we say, for the sake of the survival of little ones, right? Men are a lot more hardline. They would just be like, no, this is a load of rubbish, right? Now, I see what's going on, and a lot of other people see what's going on, and I'm glad to say that more and more guys I speak to are getting to the end of their tether with this nonsense. They don't seem to be willing to take initiative on it though, so they still need leadership. But they're getting to the point where they would happily see it all finished, because feminism has run its course and it's a disaster. So things like, trying to lessen the population, right, by inhibiting procreation, these initiatives are being set by people behind the scenes, right, who are making decisions on how people should behave, and they are doing it in a softly, sneaky way, right, through the back door. And this is where they've used feminism, because women will tend to want to do what is perceived as the right thing. A lot of the times men are more like, no, I'm not doing that. That's nonsense. Not all the time, but generally speaking, okay? So that's why these guys have used feminism. An example of this is the you can't hit women thing, which is fair enough, because if a man hits a woman, he's going to seriously damage her. But that's being used against men. So, for example, having female bouncers in clubs and bars, it's a joke. A woman goes into a situation, she can't possibly physically dominate the man. It's impossible, okay? And then the man, she'll get in his face, aggravate him, and if he even raises her voice at her, all the male bouncers will jump in. Right? That's if they're any good. Anyway, I'm not suggesting I know bouncerdom, but the point is I've seen it enough and I've been involved in it enough to know what happens, okay? It's a joke, right? Now, this is the same thing with feminism. Feminism as a whole is used as a female human shield against men, and it needs to be broken. It needs to be completely demolished and destroyed, because these decisions that are being sort of put in place in our society are not made by men or for women, and they're not made by women. So to speak. Well, who are they made by? No, the point is they're not made on behalf of a particular sex. They're made so as to control society, okay? So the idea that we shouldn't have more children, right, is extending into people holding back. And the fact that men can't trust marriage anymore makes them hold back, generally, if they've got half a brain, from having kids. And I don't agree with that. I think that we should be having plenty of children, as we wish, okay? I don't think that we should be living in this scarcity mentality. I think that we should be moving outwards. And this may sound nuts to you, but I think we should seriously concentrate on avenues outside of this planet, right? Potentially mining, for materials and resources on other worlds even. Who knows? Or even, I'm just saying that we are being so close-minded. We're obsessed. We've only got one world. There is a universe of planets out there that we could head for, and we're going to. If you think we're going to end up on this earth for the rest of time, you can forget it. Okay, we're going. So instead of obsessing about how limited everything is, we need to start planning to go outwards. We're always going to do so. Since the birth of humanity, we've always expanded. We're going to continue expanding. So the whole notion that we should, everyone must be frightened all the time. The sky's falling. We're running out of this. We're running out of that. That needs to end. It needs to go completely. So, but these things are actually being put into people's heads just to try and control them, because some group has a particular agenda in mind to basically have a one world government. All right, but that will never be. Because when we do start pushing off into the cosmos, people will just go their own ways anyway, and you won't be able to control them. Just the same as people who left the old world and went to the new world. They wanted freedom, they pushed out into the wilderness, okay? Some people remained under control, shall we say. A lot of people didn't. Some people set up their own republics and countries to be independent of the previous old world countries' powers. So, the point is that we are an expansive organism, and we're going to continue going outwards. All right, so we need to focus on that instead of going, it's all going to end. We haven't got enough. That attitude is ridiculous. It's nonsensical, and I'll have to say it's generally, I would say, more on the feminine end of the spectrum. It's panic. It's not okay. Let's make a decision. Let's move. It's oh my god. It's just worry. That's all it is. So women tend to be, and if you are upset about me saying this, say something else in contradiction to it, okay? Tell me it's not true, all right? That generally women tend to present problems, men tend to solve problems. And there are some women who say, well, men make problems. Well, you could be right, yeah. But we're all in this together, so let's just observe reality, shall we, generally speaking, instead of pretending something that isn't true, which is what feminism is designed to do. So we've got people, especially young couples, not having kids, and instead they'll buy a little dog. And this thing yips and yaps and screeches and squawks, and then the woman gushes over it as though it's a kid, and the guy in the relationship's like, she wants a kid. Alright? Now, that's because, the reason his reaction is that is because he doesn't have power in his home anymore. He knows that once he has a child, the chances are, right? Which means it's over 50% certain that he will lose control of that family that he's the husband of, he's the man in. Okay? Feminism, it's a joke. And it's all designed to ruin our families, divide everyone. We can't go on like this. So this video started off talking about little dogs, then it went off into space. But these are just truths. These are just truths. This is exactly what's happening with humanity. And people are focused on nonsense that they see on Netflix or whatever, which is further designed to corrupt them and just make them not think, basically, so that they are easy to control and manipulate. And that's not going to get us anywhere. We have to have people using their brains. We have to have people actually bothering to think about the situations that we face, and so we can come up with solutions. What these people, the small groups, I say groups, there's probably one major group, but there are other groups as well, behind the scenes, what they're trying to do is to create a whole raft of humanity who are non-thinkers, right? Who are idiots, yeah? The non-playable character type of people. But the thing is, they're actually not that prevalent. There are some people like that. I would argue that they're probably about 40% maximum, right? Then there's another 40% who could go either way. If you teach them to think for themselves, they'll start to think for themselves. And they'll start to actually use intelligence to solve problems for themselves. Oh, but then they're not controllable. Well, I would say, take the risk. And then you've got the remaining 20% of people who are switched on and will think for themselves no matter what anyway. It's just the way they are. And then there's only a very small proportion of those who are actually capable of looking outside the box and becoming true leaders. So what I've noticed is that there is an attempt to try and dumb the second 40%, the ones who could go either way, down, so that they're like the remaining, or the initial 40% who don't think and won't think. And that is disgusting. It's disgusting watching it happen, because it's done in a sneaky, snide way, you know, to try and undermine people's intelligence further, to corrupt them, feeding them nasty, disgusting, immoral stuff so that they become corrupted. And look at the state of our country around us. You can see that the effect it's having. Well, I don't want that. I want people to think for themselves. I want them to actually have moral standards. And I also we need for the men in society to be in the right position, which is in control. And it doesn't mean oppressing women, for heaven's sake. It means providing for them. That's what it's always been. But these idiot people who came up with this lie of feminism were like, how do we get women on board with this? We tell them they're oppressed. And if you tell women that there's some injustice in the world, women tend to be like, oh my goodness, that needs to be fixed. Oh my goodness. And then we rouse them into a big rabble, and then the men of society are like, what's going on? Our wives are being turned against us, and that's what's happened. And that's why we've got women getting little dogs, and men feeling that they can't have kids because their family will be taken away from them. And it's true. Talk to, I would say, about 50% of the young men under the age of 40 now, under the age of 30 nowadays, and 50% of them, if they've been married, right, have lost their control of their home. And their wife is off with the kids, and they're paying child support. What's happened? What's happened is that men have been disempowered in their own families and their own homes, and this has been an agenda, and it's got to stop. I stand by that as well. It's got to stop. But that means that men actually have to stand up and actually be worthy as well. But if you train them to be idiots, like these people are trying to do, they won't be. So we need to recover a lot of things now. That's what I'm saying.